So I'm not joyful at all about the fact that the left is freaking out that Elon Musk just bought Twitter. But I do have a question about it. Did you know that what we're seeing before our eyes is such a wild, crazy world that two people can say the exact same thing and mean something directly opposite? I mean, it's really interesting. So when the left says free speech, what they actually mean is government-controlled and censored speech that they personally approve of. And when the right says free speech, they mean the ability to say whatever they want without interference. All right? So it took a while for the mask to come off, but it's an absolute genius move and blatantly obvious that Twitter is censoring free speech, and that, as Musk says, it's the town square, and it's a place where free speech really does matter and should be ensured. And that free speech means you can say things that people don't like. Sorry. And that should be ensured on Twitter if it is going to be the town square. But that did not stop the left from absolutely clowning themselves as they railed against this perfectly common sense assertion. So they did the best impression they could of ridiculous people, and they sent out tweets about Musk buying Twitter. So here's just some of those. So Elizabeth Warren said, "This deal is dangerous for our democracy. Billionaires like Elon Musk play by a different set of rules than everyone else, accumulating power for their own gain. We need a wealth tax and strong rules to hold big tech accountable." Okay, so who does she think owns Facebook? I mean, does she think Mark Zuckerberg lives on a corner of a city street? Now, I know he's in San Francisco, and because the homeless population there is out of control, she might actually think Mark Zuckerberg is homeless, but actually he's a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire. I don't know what his personal wealth is and don't care, because the next tweet is even more important. George Takei. He said this, "I'm not going anywhere," he tweeted. Darn it. And then he went back to say this, "Should this place become more toxic, I pledge to strive even harder to lift up reason, science, compassion, and the rule of law. The struggle against fascism, misinformation, and hate requires tough fighters. I hope you stay in the fight right beside me." Right beside me. Well, he has that kind of voice. But anyway, so you say reason and science. I mean, you say that so casually, like you're not one of those people that goes around saying that a boy is actually a girl and that they can snap their fingers in a moment and magic they can change their gender. How about this one? Jamila Jamil, if that's pronounced right, of Nobody Knows Her, but anyway, she decided to speak out on this. Quote, "I fear this free speech bid is going to help this hell platform reach its final form of total lawless hate, bigotry, and misogyny. Best of luck." Well, I can tell you, Jamila, we're so sad to see you go. Look, no one knows who I am either, so I know I made fun of the fact that nobody knows who she is, but notice I'm not being named as a celebrity in an article spouting total nonsense, self-righteous nonsense at that, about Elon Musk buying Twitter. And then finally this one, Vijaya Gaddy, and it may be Gad, I don't know, who is an outspoken attorney for Twitter and an outspoken proponent of censoring free speech. She spoke up and she said that there are significant uncertainties about what the company will look like under Musk's leadership. Now, you may remember this girl. She was the girl that accompanied Jack Dorsey on the Joe Rogan podcast about a year back, maybe a little bit more. But the ironic thing here is, no, we know exactly what Musk wants to do because he's told us. Unlike other shady Twitter CEOs, he's come out and said that what he wants to do is he wants transparency on the platform, so he's going to make the algorithms open source so people know they are not being shadow banned, and then he's going to take the company private so that the government will quit extorting platforms like Facebook and others like it, or at least Twitter in this case, take it private so that they can't continue to try to come in and say they're censoring for everybody's self-interest. So the insanity in all of this is that the left just got done whining about how important free speech is for Disney, and what DeSantis is doing in Florida is a direct violation of free speech. And then directly on the heels of that, they go and rail against a rich man purchasing Twitter to expand free speech. I mean, they're acting like the world is absolutely crumbling down around them just simply because Elon Musk comes on the Twitter scene and wants to improve it by actually allowing more free speech. So much for being interested in government institutions and free speech. That's the most hilarious one, that they actually care about institutions. They only care about power. So This is why you can't trust them. Democrats are perfectly hypocritical. And this is why you can't give them the benefit of moral equivalency. They do not care about reason and logic, and they don't care if they even contradict themselves in their pursuit for power. As slanderous and as ad hominem as this may be, they will stop at nothing to prove their point. So, again, this is why we cannot say, well, that's the way they see it and this is the way we see it. No, there is a right and there is a wrong. So, for example, they hijack ideas like social justice that are clearly from Christian scripture, because I defy you to understand where the idea of social justice and equal rights came from, if not from the Bible. And then they wish to throw the Bible out, calling it some neo-colonial book for white oppressors. And then they cry out against racism and then usher us into segregated graduations. And then they love to see black people stuck in cycles of poverty. And they have sucky arguments, and then they try to defend those sucky arguments by throwing January 6th just somewhere in the mix. Okay, that last one's on the nose, but you get the point. They are perfectly hypocritical because they do not really believe in truth or that the truth exists. They only believe in their truth. Therefore, they will never stand in a place of true moral superiority. But it does not stop them from their absolute delusional pursuit of superiority. They're really living in the emperor's new clothes. They're so high on their own farts that they cannot tell that the rest of the world thinks that they're just a bunch of bloviating gas bags and completely insane. I mean, listen to this tweet by Talcum X, or Sean King, who's called Talcum X, by the way, because some people think, not me, but some people out there in the Twitter sphere especially think that he may be lying about actually being a black person. But anyway, he said this on Twitter right before he canceled his account. He suggested that Musk's purchase of the platform was actually white power because Musk is from South Africa. Now here, the left is perfectly hypocritical. Here we have an actual African American in Musk being verbally attacked, which we're told is the same thing as violence. By the way, verbal attacks, same thing as violence, by a wannabe African American, but yet no outcry. So what the literal HE double hockey sticks is going on? When I first started my show, I really wondered, do these people believe what they're actually saying and they're just kind of like over exaggerating for clicks and stuff like that? And then I started researching people like Joy Reid, and now I know these people are truly delusional. They do believe what they're saying. Al Sharpton actually believes that he is a reverend. You can catch brand new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Huberman every Monday and weekly bonus episodes to keep you thinking throughout the week. But you have to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new episodes drop. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like this video and share it with friends.